I was home for exactly 4 days. 4 days. I didn't even unpack fully, and my mom handed me an invoice, an actual itemized bill, for room and board. It was taped to my bedroom, dormy old bedroom, like I was some Airbnb guest who forgot to leave a tip. And under the total due, she had the audacity to write, $140 cash or Venmo only. I stared at it like it was a joke. It wasn't. My name's Tyler. I'm 19, just finished my freshman year at a mid-sized college out of state, majoring in communications because it's the only thing that doesn't make my brain shut down in self-defense. I came home because my dorm closed for summer repairs, and my off-campus sublease wasn't ready yet. My plan was simple. Crash at mom's for a few days, eat some of her legendary meatloaf, maybe help her in the garden like old times. Instead, she decided I was a tenant. I took the paper, walked downstairs, and found her at the kitchen table scrolling through Pinterest like nothing happened. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "What is this?" She didn't look up. "A receipt. For your stay." I blinked. "Are you serious?" She sipped her coffee like it was just another Tuesday. "Utilities aren't free. Neither is food. You're an adult now. This is what adulthood looks like." Adulthood. Right. Because nothing screams emotional maturity like extorting your own kid for crash space, after a year of struggling through midterms, ramen, and crushing loneliness. I didn't know what to say. So I just nodded, walked back upstairs, and sat on my bed, staring at the walls that still had my old high school band posters, now faded and curling at the edges. That's when it hit me. Fine. You want to treat me like a stranger? I'll play that game. So I grabbed my phone, opened our shared Google Drive, and accessed a document titled Tyler's College Fund. It was something Mom had created back when I was 10. Every birthday card from Grandma, every odd job dollar I earned in high school, every dime of financial aid or scholarship she didn't have to use right away, all tracked there. She prided herself on it. I added a new line item. 4 days stay at Mom's house, $140 deducted for room and board. Then I left her a note. Deduct it from the fund. Love, your paying customer. That set off a bomb. An hour later, she stormed into my room, holding her phone like it had personally betrayed her. "You went into the fund?" she hissed. "Thought that's what we were doing," I replied calmly, "treating each other like adults." "That money is for your tuition." "No, it was for college expenses." Apparently surviving 4 days in this house counts. The silence that followed was suffocating. Her face was tight with fury, but beneath it, I saw something else. Guilt? Fear? I couldn't tell. She left without saying another word. I heard her slam her bedroom door. The next morning, the invoice was gone. In its place, a paper plate with a slice of meatloaf. No note. Just food. But the damage was done. Let me rewind a bit. Growing up, Mom was a single parent. Dad left before I was born. She worked nights as a nurse, slept during the day, and still managed to show up to every parent-teacher conference and school play. We didn't have much, but I never felt like I lacked anything. She was strict but loving, practical but not cold. Until I left for college. Something shifted after I moved out. Maybe it was the space. Maybe it was her finally having room to breathe. Or maybe she just got used to the quiet. But when I called, she'd keep conversations short. Text replies got more curt. And when I came home for Thanksgiving, she said I had outgrown the house. At the time, I thought it was a weird joke. But now it feels like foreshadowing. I told my friend Elise about it later that night over FaceTime. She's my best friend from school, the kind of person who has 3 planners, color codes her socks, and would absolutely break into your ex's email to delete your drunk messages if needed. "She charged you rent," she said, eyes wide. "Are you kidding?" "I wish." She paused, struggling to find the right insult. "Deranged." I laughed, but it wasn't funny. "Maybe she's trying to prove a point," I offered. "No. She's punishing you. For something. Maybe for needing her." Those words stuck with me. As Elise was right. My mom isn't cruel. She's not heartless. But she's always feared dependency. From anyone. She once told me the only reason she didn't date after my dad left was because she didn't want to owe anyone anything, not time. Not emotions, not explanations. I used to think that made her strong. Now I wonder if it just made her lonely. That night, I lay awake replaying every moment from that visit. The way she looked at me like I was in her way. How she flinched when I hugged her at the airport. How she never once asked how my year had been. And I thought, maybe this isn't about $140. Maybe it's about control. The next morning I packed up early. My ride wasn't coming till noon, but I couldn't stay in that house another minute. When I came down, she was in the kitchen again folding laundry. She didn't look up. "I'm heading out," I said. "Okay," she replied. "Thanks for letting me stay." Still folding. "You're welcome." I waited. 1 second. 2. Nothing. So I left. In the car I kept checking my phone, half expecting a guilt text. Something like, "Sorry, I was just stressed." Or, "Come back, we'll talk." Instead, at 2:13 p.m. I got a Venmo request. Gas money $25. She wasn't letting this go. I didn't reply. Just denied the request and blocked her on Venmo. 3 days later, I got a message from Aunt Julia, Mom's older sister, who lives in Arizona and whom I hadn't seen in years. All it said was, "Tyler, call me. Your mom is spiraling." And that was the moment I realized. This story wasn't over. Not even close. I called Aunt Julia that night. Her voice was calm, but I could hear the edge in it like someone balancing a stack of dishes while walking across a minefield. "She told me what happened," she began. "But I want to hear it from you." So I told her. Everything. The invoice. The deduction. The Venmo request. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't need to. The facts spoke for themselves. Aunt Julia sighed when I finished. "Your mother's always had a hard time asking for help, even when she's drowning." I frowned. But I didn't ask her for help. I stayed at her house for 4 days. She made it transactional. I know. But for her, just having someone in her space, especially, you, feels like a form of emotional need. That's insane. Maybe. But it's her reality. I didn't respond. My throat felt tight. I could feel the beginnings of anger, not the kind that explodes but the kind that builds like a slow burn under the skin. "She's not okay, Tyler," Aunt Julia continued. "I think she's been spiraling for a while. She's isolated, she doesn't talk to anyone, and she's been working doubles again." She didn't say any of that to me. She wouldn't. She doesn't know how. We stayed on the phone another hour. Aunt Julia told me stories I'd never heard before about how my mom used to disappear for entire weekends after her divorce, just driving for hours, parking near lakes or empty parking lots, sitting in silence. About how she refused therapy even when it was offered for free. How she once refused to accept $500 from Julia after our car broke down when I was 13, insisting she'd figure it out, even if that meant working through pneumonia. "She thinks vulnerability is weakness," Aunt Julia said softly. "Well, she taught me that pretty damn effectively." There was a long pause. "She still loves you, Tyler. She just doesn't know how to be close without feeling like she's suffocating." "I didn't ask her to be close," I muttered. "I just wanted to come home." And there it was. The core of it. I just wanted to come home. But it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a hotel with hostile customer service. After that call, I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to go full no contact. Block her number. Unfollow her socials, pretend I'd been orphaned. But another part of might was smaller, quieter, but no less real, wanted to fix it. I just didn't know how. That weekend I talked to Elise again. She listened patiently as I relayed everything Aunt Julia said. "She's not your project," Elise said gently. "If she's broken, that's not your fault. I know. You get to choose how much of that mess you want to let into your life. It doesn't make you heartless. It makes you sane." She was right. But still, something inside me refused to let go completely. So I did something weird. I sent my mom an email. Subject: about the $140. Body: "Hey Mom. I've been thinking a lot about what happened. I know we both said things, well, implied things that probably hurt more than we meant them to. I want to be clear about a few things. I wasn't trying to insult you by deducting that money from the college fund. I was trying to make a point. Maybe not in the best way, but I felt hurt. You've always been strong. But sometimes I wish you didn't feel like you had to be so distant to stay that way. Anyway, I hope you're okay. I'm around if you want to talk. Love, Tyler." I didn't expect a reply. But 2 days later I got one. It was short. 3 lines. I read your email. I need time. But thank you for saying it. Mom. It wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't an apology. But it was something. A crack in the ice. Then something even stranger happened. 2 weeks after that I got a letter in the mail. A real letter. Handwritten in my mom's neat blocky script. No return address, just my name in all caps. Inside was a note and a check. The note read, Tyler, you were right. About a lot of things. I don't always know how to be close to people. I've built my life around control because losing it nearly ruined me once. But I don't want to lose you. Here's the $140 back. Keep the fund intact. Use it for something that brings you peace. Mom. I stared at the check for a long time. I didn't cash it. I didn't tear it up either. I just placed it in my desk drawer like a fragile truce. That could have been the end of the story. But it wasn't. Because something was still gnawing at me. A suspicion I couldn't shake. Why had my mom reacted that strongly to such a small thing? So I went back into that Google Drive folder. The one with the college fund spreadsheet. And that's when I saw it. There was a new tab. Hidden. Clicked it. It was labeled loan balances. And what I saw made my stomach drop. My mom had taken out a private loan for $6,000 in my name last year. Without telling me. There were payment records going back months. The address on file was hers. The email was hers. But the loan was under my social security number. She had borrowed money from me as me. I froze. Suddenly the invoice, the deduction, the Venmo request, it all made sense. She wasn't just being cold. She was panicking, trying to scrape together whatever she could before I found out. My heart started racing. I felt sick, betrayed, violated. I called Elise, barely holding it together. She took out a loan in your name, she said, shocked. Tyler, that's fraud. That's literal identity theft. I know. What are you gonna do? I didn't know. I didn't want to press charges. She was my mom. But I also couldn't ignore it. This wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. She must have taken my social at some point before I left. Maybe when I was applying for FAFSA. Maybe when she helped me open my first student checking account. It was calculated. And it shattered me. Aunt Julia was the first person I told. I forwarded her screenshots. She called me almost immediately. Oh my God, she whispered. She promised she'd never do this. She's done it before? There was a pause. When we were younger, after your dad left, she took out a credit card in my name. Only a few $100. Said it was for groceries. I didn't press it. I let it go. I couldn't breathe. So this is a pattern, I said quietly. I'm sorry, Tyler. No. Don't be. You didn't do this. That night I confronted my mom. I emailed her again this time. Not with love or warmth, but with precision. Subject. We need to talk. Urgently. Body. I found the loan. You used my SSN. You never asked. That's a federal crime. I want to hear your side. But if you don't reply in 24 hours, I'm contacting a lawyer. Tyler. This time she called. She was sobbing. I was desperate, she choked. Your scholarships got cut, and your dad's old debt hit collections again, and I didn't know what else to do. You could have asked me. You're a child. I'm 19. I didn't want you to worry. Well, now I'm worried and violated. She tried to justify it, said she always intended to pay it back. That she'd never miss a payment. That she'd protect my credit like it was her own. I told her that wasn't good enough. I'm giving you one chance, I said. Transfer the loan into your name. You tell the lender it was identity misuse. You take the hit. Or I go to the police. She was quiet for a long time. Then she whispered. Okay. That was a week ago. Today I got a notification from the loan provider. The loan has been transferred. The investigation has been closed. My credit is clean. She took the fall. And I still haven't spoken to her since. I don't know if we'll ever go back to how things were. Or if we should. I'm still sorting through the pain, the confusion, the rage. But here's what I do know. Sometimes, being the adult means protecting yourself even from the people who raised you. And sometimes, Love means letting go of the version of someone you wish they were, and seeing them clearly, flaws and all, even if it breaks your heart. The silence between us became its own kind of noise. After the loan got transferred and the mess legally cleaned up, I expected some kind of follow-up. A message, a call, an apology, something. But there was nothing. No I'm sorry, no explanation, not even a vague text about the weather. She disappeared. It felt like I had lost a parent without anyone dying. Meanwhile, I kept trying to pretend like things were normal. I went back to campus early to take a summer writing workshop. Elise was there, crashing in a friend's apartment and working part-time at a bookstore. We'd meet up every evening, pretend we weren't both emotionally wrecked 20-year-olds pretending to be functioning adults. You okay? She asked one night over Thai takeout on the quad. I shrugged. Define okay. Functioning, not spiraling. I'm spiraling quietly. That counts, right? She leaned her head against my shoulder, and we sat there like that until the mosquitoes got bold. I thought I could bury it, pretend it was over. But trauma has a way of leaking into the cracks of your life when you least expect it. Like the day I tried to apply for a part-time marketing internship and froze when I reached the part where they asked for my SSN. My hand actually shook. I had to get up from the campus computer lab and walk around the block to calm down. Or the time a professor made a joke about trusting your parents during a lecture on psychological contracts, and I laughed out loud. The kind of laugh that turns heads. The kind that's not funny. I kept Elise in the loop, but even she seemed at a loss. You know, she said one evening as we sat outside the bookstore during her break, you don't have to forgive her. I blinked. What? I mean, if you don't want to, you don't owe her that. I stared at my cup of coffee. I want to. Or at least I want to. That's not the same. No, I agreed. It's not. I went to therapy. One of the school counselors, Dr. Lane, an older woman with a wardrobe that rotated exclusively between cardigans and wise eyes. She never told me what to do. She just asked me questions. Do you think your mom loves you? She asked one session. I think she wants to, I said. But I also think she's afraid of it. Why afraid? Because love isn't something she can control. She nodded like I'd unlocked something important. I started journaling. Not for class, just for me. Pages filled with letters I'd never sent. One read, Dear Mom, what was it like being you at 19? Did someone hurt you so badly that you decided no one would ever get close again? Did you look at me, all soft and wide-eyed, and swear I'd never become like you? Because you failed. Or maybe I failed. Or maybe we both just got tired of pretending. Tyler. Weeks passed. One day, I opened my email and saw her name in the inbox. Subject, Update. I didn't click it at first. I just stared at it for 10 minutes, my heart in my throat. When I finally opened it, it was a wall of text. No greeting. No Dear Tyler. Just her words. I've been going to therapy. I had to read that sentence 3 times. The kind where I talk about things I don't want to. About your father. About the loan. About you. I'm not writing to beg forgiveness. I know I broke something in you. Maybe in us. But I'm trying to understand why I did what I did. And I'm learning that sometimes strength looks like letting someone in, not pushing them out. Your aunt helped me find the right person. It's hard. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm breathing. I know I can't take back what I did. But I'm trying to become someone you could eventually talk to again. Not today. Not tomorrow. But someday. Love, Mom. I didn't cry. I wanted to. I expected to. But I just felt. Still. Not angry. Not sad. Just still. That night I showed the email to Elise. Well, she said slowly, that's something. Yeah, I replied. It is. I didn't reply to her. Not then. But I printed out the email and taped it to the inside of my closet door. A reminder that people can change if they want to, if they try hard enough. It was another month before I saw her again. Aunt Julia called and said she was flying in to visit and invited me to join her for lunch. Just us, she promised. But when I arrived at the diner, my mom was already seated at the corner booth. I almost turned around, but then I saw her face. She looked older. Not in a bad way. In a real way. The way grief and guilt carve their way into the eyes of people who have had to swallow their own pride like bitter medicine. She stood when she saw me. "Tyler," she said softly. "Hi," I said. I didn't smile. We sat. Aunt Julia wisely excused herself to the restroom before we even ordered drinks. My mom fidgeted with her menu. Then she looked at me. "You cut your hair." I touched the back of my head self-consciously. "Yeah. It suits you." "Thanks." We ordered pancakes. Always the safe choice. Halfway through breakfast she spoke. "I want you to know I didn't use your name to be malicious. I wasn't thinking clearly." "I know," I said. She looked startled. "But that doesn't make it okay," I added. "It just makes it human." She nodded. "I've been doing a lot of thinking about what kind of mother I was, what kind of mother I wasn't." I didn't say anything. "You didn't deserve what I did," she whispered. That cracked something open in me. "No," I said. "I didn't." She nodded, eyes wet but proud. "I'm learning to sit with that. The fact that I hurt you. That I lost your trust. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust you again," I admitted. "That's fair. I'm not saying never," I clarified. "I'm just saying, it's going to take time." Her shoulders dropped like she'd been bracing for a punch that never came. "I'm not asking you to rush," she said. "I just wanted you to know I'm not the same person I was 3 months ago." I believed her. Not completely, but enough. We finished breakfast in silence. She paid the bill, even left a big tip. I noticed her hands were still shaking slightly when she handed over her credit card. Outside the diner, she looked at me with a kind of cautious hope. "Can I hug you?" she asked. I hesitated. Then I nodded. And we did. It wasn't magic. It didn't fix everything. But for the first time in a long time it felt like a start. That hug didn't erase the damage. But it stitched something small back together, something I hadn't even realized had torn. The part of me that still wanted to believe family meant something deeper than blood and shared holidays. Over the next few weeks we kept it slow. A couple of texts here and there. A photo of her garden's first tomato. A joke I sent her about our town's ridiculous potholes. She didn't push. Neither did I. But then one afternoon I got a letter in the mail again. No check this time, just a folded sheet of paper with my mom's handwriting. Inside was a copy of a journal entry she'd written in therapy. The top of the page read, "Prompt. What do you regret most as a parent?" Her answer: "I regret teaching my son that love has to be earned. That proximity equals obligation. That affection is conditional. I regret every moment I made him feel like a burden instead of a gift. I regret fearing his independence instead of celebrating it. I regret trying to control him when I should have been learning how to let go with grace. Most of all, I regret that he had to parent himself in my absence emotionally, spiritually, and financially. He deserved more. He still does." I read that entry 10 times. My hand shook by the end of it. I didn't cry, not right then. But when I called Elise and read it aloud to her, my voice cracked halfway through. "She's trying, Ty," Elise said softly. "That's real. That's not just damage control." "I know," I whispered. "I actually think she means it." That night I emailed my mom. Not a long one. Just this: "I read your journal entry. Thank you for sharing that with me. You were right, I deserved more. But I also still want a mom. Maybe we can figure out what that looks like now. Together." She replied 4 minutes later. "I'd like that. More than anything." From there, things didn't get perfect, they got honest. I went home for a weekend, this time as a guest. Yes, but not as a stranger. There was no invoice taped to the door. No awkward silences. Just my room, still small, still mine, with fresh sheets and the familiar creak in the floorboard near the dresser. We cooked together. She let me make the sauce even though she hates how I overspice everything. We sat in the backyard drinking lemonade, talking about nothing and everything. I told her about Elise, about therapy, about how I'd been afraid I was turning into someone cold, like I didn't know how to feel anymore. "You didn't turn cold," she said. "You went into survival mode. That's not the same thing." That was the first time I saw her cry openly in front of me without hiding behind a tissue or turning away. And I didn't look away either. A few days later, She did something that made my breath catch. She showed me a folder. Inside were documents, every loan, every financial record, every remaining debt in her name. And she said, "I want you to see this because I want you to know I'm done hiding. If we're going to have a relationship, it has to be built on truth." I didn't read everything. I didn't need to. What mattered was that she handed me the truth without being forced to. Over time, trust began to regrow, not because we forgot what happened, but because we both decided it didn't have to define the rest of our story. And then one morning in late September, something small, stupid, and entirely ordinary happened that let me know we were healing. She texted me, "Do you want my chili recipe, or are you too sophisticated for real food now?" I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my coffee, and I texted back, "Only if it comes with a side of passive-aggressive rent charges." She replied, "That costs extra." When I posted this story, when I asked if I was the asshole for telling my mom to deduct rent from my college fund, I didn't expect it to unravel like this. I thought it would be a petty internet moment, a way to vent, a way to be right. But this became something else. It became a mirror. I realized I wasn't just angry, I was grieving. Not because my mom had failed me, but because I'd put her on a pedestal she couldn't survive on. I'd wanted her to be more than human, when really, she'd been a human trying her best and sometimes failing spectacularly. We still have our scars. I still don't trust her with my financial information. I probably never will. But we talk now. Not around each other. To each other. Last week, she sent me a photo of her therapy graduation certificate. 6 months. 12 sessions. Dozens of pages in that notebook I'll probably never read. And under the photo she wrote, "Still learning. Still your mom. Always." I don't know what else to say except this. Sometimes healing doesn't look like fireworks or forgiveness. Sometimes it looks like pancakes in silence, or garden tomatoes, or sharing therapy prompts, or one less lie between two people who used to speak in avoidance and now choose honesty, even when it hurts. And sometimes just not walking away forever is the bravest thing either of you can do. So I don't think I was the asshole. But maybe I was someone who needed to grow up. And maybe, so did she.